Hey everyone, Chad Andrews here, the 33 Rule, working for Project Echelon. And our second guest we're going to bring on after Ken Putnam. Ken did a lead out for this guy. His name is Thomas Craven. Thomas, welcome to our little interview here. How's it going?
It's going well, Chad. How are you?
Pretty good. Weather sucks, but other than that, doing all right. All right, so we are doing this interview with you because you are instrumental in a big part of where cycling is and was in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Right now you live in Greenville, right?
That's right, Greenville.
So give us some back. First of all, before we do that, I want you to, oh, that's not going to work. There we go. I want you to explain this.
Oh, yeah. Nice. That's a good one.
Tell me a little bit about that photo.
I think that was, it's right along in Rincon near Santa Barbara. We did all of our photos down there, and I guess we had to motor pace a pickup truck, and I think Rob Lettieri, Dave Lettieri's brother, was our photographer at that point. I wanted to look good, but basically it just made my head look huge. Look how little my legs are. I think they did that on purpose just to make me angry.
Right. Did you race better?
I've got better ones that have my legs are huge.
Yeah, there's one right here. Actually, I'm going to share another one before we really get into this. Let's see, share this, and then this one. That's the old 7-Eleven look. Here's your Paul Marys, your teams, your victories. Look at all that. Now, according to this, they're saying that you're a time trialist. What is your opinion on that?
That's probably not true. A prologuer, but not really a time trial.
Okay, so you're good for 3 to 5 minutes, but anything over that, forget it.
I mean, up to 10 miles.
Up to 10 miles.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's get into the guts of this thing and why we're meeting. Tell us a little bit about the history. We're building this backstory as we head into the Grand Fondo for Project Echelon, and they came up with a great idea of taking the history of Winston-Salem Cycling as it relates to elite cycling. And a lot of people think that Greenville, is the place, but I think Greenville came along later, whereas Winston, I think, had just such great talent, great energy, and great history. Tell us a little bit about your history with Winston-Salem Cycling.
Well, it all started with my dad. He was a bike commuter. He rode from our house right on Glade Street downtown, and sort of got me to start riding begrudgingly at first. I had to ride to soccer practice and ride my bike to get to my friend's house because both my parents worked and we lived close to downtown, and they didn't see it as a real issue to bike around or walk around. So the bike was way easier to get over to soccer practice, which was probably 8-10 miles away. So I'd ride over there, ride back, in the dark, and then then it became, well, I guess maybe I'll do a little bit more before I go to soccer practice, and zip back as fast as I can from the house. And sort of cycling became more of a hobby or something I did for fun away from soccer.
Was it with chopper with the banana seat?
Oh, hell no. Originally I had a Peugeot, like a little miniature Peugeot, little wheel, because I was a little kid. And then I graduated to the Raleigh Grand Sport with 531. Oh yeah.
531. You're going way back on me now, aren't you? Mm-hmm. Steel is real, right?
That's right. It was cool. It was a cool bike.
And Ken brought up a good little story. Well, what was your first year racing in the area? Do you recall?
I can't even remember, but I remember the race in Haynes Park was literally in front of our house. And, we had those guys, Ian Jackson and all those dudes, Paul Pearson, the Stetnas, staying at the house.
Really?
And I rode to soccer practice. I was like, okay, I got a game today, so I'd watch them do all their stuff, wash their bikes, hang up their crap, and glue
So you
tires and
weren't
everything
really
like.
riding like they were at the time.
No,
You were
no,
just
no,
using it for
not
transportation.
exactly.
That's
And
cool.
we did bike tours and stuff like that. I mean, we rode around. We did some events like that. But it wasn't until I got into the bikes and saw how cool it was, and they were like, these foreigners, Australian, Danny Clark, staying in my room, reading my Mad magazines and stuff like that, and just talking with those guys. And I was like, this sounds pretty cool. And then they went down to Athens and they won those races and came back through Winston and stayed with us again and did races in Raleigh, and we're playing tennis and doing stuff. And I was like, well, this is cool. This Australian accent seems like they can get the girls, and they can, have a good time. And it seemed like a cool way to get around. So I sort of, in my typical style, glommed onto them a little bit and trying to figure out, and just Ian was great. And then he, kept in touch with me and send me stuff from all over the world or all over the country, hats, t-shirts and stuff like that. And so I just sort of kept in contact, and my dad was following it a little bit. And I decided, through Ken's help and also just sort of like my research, I think, I was going to be a professional bass player, a professional radio controlled model maker, or a professional cyclist. And so I came down to those three, and I went to Ken and asked him about it. And he graciously let me put some money down on a cooler bike. And that's how it sort of started.
Yeah, Ken told us a story that your original bike was like a 4217. He said when you were out on rides, you would be chopping wood. Just
18.
Oh,
He made me ride at 18. Yeah.
there's 180 RPMs for you right there.
Right. And where, I mean, Haynes Park and the Glade Street, where I guess the first, that road, and it was part of the Winston-Salem Classic race as well. And that was the first hill. So you leave my house and it's like straight downhill. So that's how I developed the ability to spin like crazy. So I can still do it like this.
Yeah, just like.
You probably
Where was your breakthrough? Was it in locally? Was it regionally? Was it nationally? When you finally went, okay, I get this sport.
Well, I raced around as a junior and didn't really, I was going to go to college. I went to college for a couple of years, and it was one winter and it was super nasty. And, I was just like, my dad was asking me, so what classes are you taking? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, Somerville is this day. And these are the races I want to do. And I think I can get back for Athens. And he's like, it sounds to me like you're not really concerned with school and more about biking. Why are you wasting my money and your time and trying to go to school and ride a bike at the same time? Why don't you do one or the other? And so
really,
I was like, yeah, okay, well, I'll do that.
Try this bike thing.
Yeah. So I went down to Florida, down to Orlando, and started training with Jeff Rutter down there, because I'd met him through Ian and Pearson and those guys. And he had an aunt or somebody that would do that. And so I've had one of my dad's college roommates stayed with him and went down there and sort of dabbled into it. And, that year I wasn't that good, and it took a while, but then the following year I was on the outspoken team with,
oh, wow.
With those guys, and with Ronnie and Pearson and Steve Stewart,
Ronnie Baxter.
Jim Mahaffey.
Yeah.
And then the Copeland got on there, the copulator. So we all got together and did some racing in the Southeast. And, it was a lot of, cool races that we did. And I think the real breakthrough was probably, I was doing those crits and stuff. And there's the Wheat Thins races, and I would leave the house with like literally $0.
Yeah, the stories are incredible.
I've got to okay, I need to make money, so I gotta do something. And so I went to, maybe I'm confusing the years, but
that's okay. Well, you're 57. We'll let that pass.
I was with Copeland, and we went to DC and raced the race up there, and it was like the day before Pro Nats and Pro in Philly. It was the day before Philly race, and so a lot of guys there. But it was a weekend race because I had tons of money, and it was around the Capitol and right there on the, it was like up and down, and it was a big deal. Kim Erickson, all these, superstars, Gagioli, blah, 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 all the stars were there. And like a giant group got away. I ended up getting out there by myself. I ended up lapping the field twice by myself, and nobody even knew I was there. And I ended up like fourth, but I won, $1,800. And I was like, oh, sweet.
Okay, maybe I can pay some bills now.
Then the next day was Harlem, because that was the same day as Philly traditionally. And I went up there, and so it was like all the trackies from T-Town and stuff like that. Oh my God, these guys are gonna throttle me. So I was like, always a field sprint. So I was like, I'm gonna make it into a breakaway. So we actually got away with like 8 guys. Whitehead was in there with me, McDonough, a bunch of other sprinter guys. And I was like rolling the whole time, and Whitehead's baiting me the whole time.
He's doing the old school moves on you. You keep doing great, Thomas. You're doing great.
I just said internally, like, I'm not even going to try to beat him. I'm just going to be second, because it was $1,800 to be second. It was like $2,500 to win. So I just played off of that and just got second there too. So I was like, one weekend, $4,000 or whatever, $3,600, $3,800. And I was like, heck yeah, I'm rolling.
This is easy.
Yeah. So after that, it was like stuff sort of came easier. And then, but it was not necessarily easy, but it was easier to sort of know that I could survive if I was, I could make some money doing it. And it was just fun as hell too. Yeah.
And my apology. I mean, it was Barney Baxter, Ronnie Hinson. I got the names. Right. We kind of goofed that, but what was the most, coming out up through the ranks in Winston-Salem and then going nationally, what was the most humbling moment that you had racing that kind of shifted your perspective, or did you not have one? Like you were always on a zenith?
Well, it was really, another big breakthrough was going up to New Bedford. There was like a 4-day stage race they had up there. And all the stars and stuff, European guys were there, and it was 160 miles. And
oh man, old school racing.
Yeah, it was hard, and it was a stage race. So I got there, and I had that was the days you had to pre-register by mail.
Oh my God!
Check.
Now we're talking 80s right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So you had to get a standard form, fill it out, send it in. Send in a check, and they would cash it, and you would just go to the race. And rarely did they ever not allow you to be in, but that was such a big race. I got there, had planned to go there. I'd been in Colorado, I'd been somewhere, all driving around, and ended up there. I go to register, and they said, nope, you're not registered. I'm like, well, I sent my pre-registration in, and usually I'd even send. Back in those days, you're always trying to scam the promoter, so you wouldn't put a check in there, and you would hope that they didn't charge you. So I'd actually paid with a check and filled all the information because it was so important. This is a big time race.
Right.
It was like, $5,000 to win each day in a stage race, and it was a thing. So I get there, and they said, nope, you're not registered. And I said, well, I sent my stuff in. They said, yeah, it's right here, but you're not on a team. And I said, well, it doesn't say you have to be on a team. So, well, we reached our level, and you're not racing.
God.
And I'm like, well, what the hell am I going to do? Who do I talk to? You can't talk to anybody.
Oh.
All of a sudden, the Reebok team rolls up, a junior team. And I like Frank McCormick, but I hated him for this reason. So they roll up. Oh, Frankie's here. Great. The Plymouth Reebok team, Warren Gibson, big truck. They had all the gear. I was selling Outspoken, had just lonely ass me. They had all their stuff. Oh, are you pre-registered? Nope. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and sign up. Here you go. And I was like, hold on, this is a problem. And they say, well, no, well, he's from here. And I literally went ape shit on everyone. I used all my curse words,
which is probably prodigious,
was very diplomatic in it, told them what my name was with a big FU. And I guess I made my point, and they let me in the race.
What?
And I was so disheveled from that, and I'm getting all bent out of shape. I can feel it right now just from remembering that I was just shocked at how they treated me and anybody else. And then, so that race didn't go well, but the next day I ended up getting fourth again. I think that year I got fourth in about literally 18 or 19 races, lapped the field, in that race, the 160-mile race. I got fourth, and I was with Graham Miller and some Euro stars and stuff like that, and Tom Pren and those guys. They punked me right at the end, going up the big hill, and
lesson learned
with like Chris Carmichael or somebody like that. And they were all stars at that point, probably 1986, 87, something like that. But that was like, again, it was like humbling, like this is like a real bike race, and even though I'm pretty good, they don't give a crap about me. I need to go to a bigger program. And with those rides of that year, I got some traction with some teams and was able to, make that leap and to be a pro bike racer the next year.
Wow, that's a cool story. I do want to transition briefly to who, now that you've came through Winston-Salem, and who are some of the bigger names that you remember back in the day that and you can even include the Carolina people, because everybody did Greensboro and everybody did Haynes Park. Give me like 5 names that kind of really ring out to you, or do you have them?
As far as,
it could be mentors, it could be racers.
I mean, the big thing for me is like I was not a bike racing fan. I did not give a crap who else, what was going on in Europe at that point, or who's it. I just wanted to win the races.
Right.
I enjoyed it so much, but I imitated people that I thought were, the kings. So East Coast guys by far were the guys that I was looking at. And one of the guys that always had all the style that I just thought was the coolest guy I could be is Russell Williams from England. Rode for Seedy, just unbelievable style and showmanship is what those guys had as well. Then you got the torch. Bruce Donaghy was somebody that made bike racing. I couldn't understand how he did the things that he did. It was just so freaking cool. Ian Jackson was a guy that had not the blazing power and speed and all that sort of stuff like that, but was so smart on the bike, he could always figure out and always get in the brakes. And those are, that's what I wanted to do. And that's sort of what I imitated as well. Roy Nickman was also a guy that was unbelievable as a bike racer and one of my peers. But at that point I was a Fred. I mean, when I first raced against him, he was a superstar and I was just like, 16, I was just a kid. And then Tom Schuler also, it's like a guy that the class, the longevity, the bike wins, the way that he would win the races, it was just like, man, those guys are incredible, and not just because they're on 7-Eleven. I mean, it was just like, they all had the look and the style and all those things that made me want to be like, yeah, that looks cool. I'll dress up and be like them for Halloween.
I'll play the part.
Yeah.
All right, we've got about 10 minutes left. I want to ask, what was your biggest win ever?
Probably have to say there's a couple. I mean, Athens was a huge win. That was the one that I always wanted to win as a kid. And again, sort of started my cycling career, and that the guys that were at my house went down and they won. I was able to go down there with them a couple years later and do the win and out. I got second at the win and out, and then later, got third in that race and fourth, and it was always in there. And then finally was able to pull it off with the Chevrolet guys when Malcolm Elliott, I was leading him out actually, and everyone, including Radisha Kubrick, who we all know.
There was a fight in that race, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was a battle. And then of course the big win when I was on Schwinn for at the Tour de Trump, won the prologue there. And nobody thought I was going to pull it off. And I'd been training on that freaking TT bike for, months to do something at that race. And I'd had a great spring, a lot of second places, a lot of cool races, a lot of stage races, and had the strength and stuff. And I did get lucky because it did rain after I went, but that's the way that happens. I went early on purpose, because I saw the weather.
Hey, look, that's advice for juniors. You got to look out the weather. You got to know who you're racing against. You got to know your strengths, your weaknesses, and play them all and wrap them into one big bow. And I think that's what made your career so intriguing, is because you kind of were malleable in your racing style. I mean, I know you're a prologuer, time trialer kind of guy, but from everything that I've ever heard, and I've never raced against you, but there's some craft to you, and I think that's where this transition go. Do you feel like you were kind of a crafty bike racer?
Yeah, for sure. I mean that was, I like I said, I one year I got like 18 times I was in the top 4. I was 4th, literally. I won like one race, 1 year. Most I ever won was like 13 races 1 year. But always in the break. It's like I look at guys' results and stuff now, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I was like 25th," and so it's like I was never less than 10th. I mean, what are you guys talking about? Especially in the United States. Always finish it off, and always being in the break, and always making it. Either you're doing it or not doing it. I can never understand why everyone focuses on 25th place. If I wasn't in the top 5, I'd just turned it off.
Be pissed. Got it.
Yeah.
Do you think, I got 2 more questions before I let you go. Tell me about, a lot of people in Winston-Salem consider you a mentor. Joe Carpasasi, a lot of the kids that are his age looked up to you. Even, I probably could even say maybe a Hamlin or a Heckman. Did you have any influence on their careers?
I came in a little late for, I already sort of moved on, but for Hamlin, that guy was like serious bike racer.
Still is
crazy as we all know, but that's part of the passion of what it is. You're sort of reserved and meticulous, or you throw it out there. And I like the way John always would just throw it out there. He's just a pain in the ass, and until you finally wears you down enough, then he pounces again. It's like, it's humiliating. So when I raced against him, he was a little younger, but it's those transitions, keep on happening. That was, the people that I looked up to, like Schuler and Roy. And Roy was sort of a different, we ended up being teammates as well as Schuler. We were teammates as well, but seeing those guys and learning from them, Tom Brosnowski, Chris Carmichael, all those guys, you intersect, and you start to learn from them. And I think in Winston-Salem, having the opportunity of having the Tuesday, Thursday night rides, the Saturday morning rides in Louisville, all those things, you start to get the face time or bike time or seat time with those guys. And you can definitely make an impact on them. And the weird thing is that the later, you know, after I quit riding and I came back and stuff like that, and I go out on those rides and you still feel and ride the same way, you know, you start that same sort of, you know, dialogue with somebody, and all I would get was like the finger or something like that from somebody, because, you know, you're not my coach, I'm not paying you. It's like, okay, you know, I mean, it's just strange how the way that I learned from Ian and Bruce and Jeff and Paul was on the road, and the way that the information is pushed out now is digitally on and through individual coaches, as opposed to, you know, really a mentor. I mean,
Hey, I'm a big fan of both.
I mean, but it's true. I mean, and that's made a better cyclist. I mean, it's hard to get somebody like that.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's impossible. You know, and you know, there's a certain part of you gotta want to do it. You got to be friendly enough. You got to be adaptable enough. You know, and it's a responsibility. You know, when with a pay for coaching plan, I mean, you've got all that stuff already built in, and you see the quality of riders that we have pushed out because of it. I mean, I was very, very lucky to have people like that when I was a kid to teach me.
Right.
And now, you know, it would be very hard to get people like that. And that's where, you know, my work with the Hincapie team and moving
Stole
forward.
my next question.
Moving forward with some other teams, and you know, this year I'm working with the Best Buddies team out of Miami. So it being a mentor and being somebody that can help those guys achieve what goals they are. I mean, with the Hincapie team, we were pushing guys into the Pro Tour. With the Best Buddies team and the way that racing is in the United States now, I mean, I really want to help those guys win some more races. So I've ridden the races. I've been everywhere. I know all the places. I know where to park. I know where to attack. I know where to eat. To me, it seems like it's just academic. It's just a plan.
You
for
can't
those guys,
learn that in a training plan. As much as being a coach, it comes from experience.
Exactly.
Well, tell me. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And that's where the hands-on part of it, being a mentor and being you know, on the road like that is sort of my style.
Do you find yourself in more now that because you did, I was going to say, hey, do you want to give us some news about a new gig that you've got, but you already let the cat out of the bag. It's Best Buddies. Do you find yourself more of a mentor, a coach, a psychologist, or it's totally different than bike racing because you're managing people versus managing yourself? Give us some insight of, you know, give us a minute or two about what you feel about where your role as a DS is.
Well, I mean, I never yell. I mean, it's like that. I mean, I only yelled once ever, you know, in 10 years as the director on Hincapie. I mean, it's an ultimate plan. I mean, it's organization, and it's teaching what to do without knowing exactly what's going to happen, but having a pretty dang good idea. And then also teaching everybody what can happen, what those next choices are if what you're planning on doesn't happen. So you're just constantly, it's like you know, it's transferred into my life now, because I figure myself as a prepper or something like that for the end of times. You know, I've got my generator, my water, and my food, but I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen. But, you know, I don't want to be
that guy that's not prepared for it, right?
I don't want to be that jackass that's sitting out there asking for water. So the same thing with cycling, you know what's going to happen. So why go there unprepared for it? You know, and through training, through nutrition, through travel, and then in the race itself, you know, you've got a hill, you've got obstacles, you've got weather. You know, we never were unprepared for anything, ever. You know, and I think that's a strength, and it's something to teach people is all of the variables that can happen. However, it's not really that many things. when it all boils down to it, where it's either a field sprint, a breakaway, or some crazy thing happens. So all you do is prepare for those couple things, but making sure that people understand where they are in that whole, chaotic dance is a sort of a daily and weekly and hourly, lesson. It's sort of a life lesson the whole time, and then it transfers into your life as well. So I think that's part of it. So the answer to the question is, I feel like a mentor, more of a dad almost, to the cyclist as opposed to a coach, because I help them understand what the heck's going on physically, mentally, and in the world, so that they can make the choices in the race, in life, and in their careers. I tell people straight up, I think you've had enough. It's about, I like you a lot, but this is not your career. So let's make it happen. And I'm totally honest with it. I think that's the other part, is just being honest with everybody about, the goals and the mission and all that stuff. I love all those guys that were on the teams. So I think I have a great relationship with just about all of them. There's only a few that I would say that I don't. But
that's life in general.
Yeah.
All right. One final question for you. And this is not morbid, this is more of like a path that I seek to know about people. What would your epitaph read if you were, or your tombstone back in Winston-Salem, of what your legacy and who you are in that scene that is Winston-Salem Cycling?
Does it have to rhyme? Is it like
Nope.
at Disney World or something like that?
Nope. It is just on your tombstone. This is who Thomas Craven is in the whole perspective of Winston-Salem Cycling. You could be boastful. You could be, you just, whatever comes out of your mouth.
That's a tough one, man. I think that I've got, it's more of a pioneer for Winston-Salem, and that we were the only family with a bike rack on the car. And when I left, I was one of many, that were around there, so that I was anonymous at that point. So,
Pioneer.
Grew the sport, in Winston-Salem along with a few others, but it was that pre-Alpina rack on the roof of the Toyota that gave us away.
Oh, that's so good. Well, listen, Thomas, I can't thank you enough for taking the time today. It's really interesting the way that we're doing this. We're kind of building a story with Ken, and that was so insightful and thoughtful for you to have us start with him, because I could have stayed on the Zoom for hours with him telling the stories about Winston-Salem Cycling and all, and then to hear your stories. And then we're just going to keep propagating it until we get to the current riders that came out of Winston-Salem. But yeah, you were definitely high on the list, and we certainly do appreciate it.
Well, I thank you, man. Do you have Jim Copeland on there, or Brian McDonough, or Sue McDonough?
That's a Joe Carpasasi thing. So we're formulating a list. I know that we've already got the first two out of the way. We're just trying to massage it and see, but yeah, no, I'll coordinate with him and I'll get back with you. And we definitely want to get the hitters as much of a story as we can before March 18th and 19th with the Fundo and the team launch. So yeah, so that's it. But for those of you who watched the video, this is Thomas Craven, now the Director Sportif of Best Buddies. Thanks, Thomas.
Thank you, man.
How cool was that? That was super slick. I can't thank Thomas Craven enough. He surely is a legacy in Winston-Salem, and he showed it by telling us some great stories about the elite racing cycling scene, the junior racing cycling scene, and how he was as a pro. So we certainly do appreciate his time. Next up, we've got Jamie Bennett and Eric Saunders. They're next.